Mhm.
Are you tired of the same old VTT? Sit back and relax and lend Alchemy RPG your ear for a moment. Prepare yourselves for an experience like no other. Now in full Technicolor.
everybody, we'll be starting in a little bit. Grab yourself some coffee, something to drink. We're going to be diving into a little news at the top of the hour here, going over the stuff that has come out from Arcane Library, along with Chris and Mythic Bastion Lands. I'm really excited for the release on that. Of course, today wouldn't be a normal day if we didn't dive into some design. I'm going to be working on my new Vania-style TTRPG made for solo, duo, or group with a GM. I'm going to be diving into how I want to do it, what I want to make, and kind of the premise behind it, and why I'm such a fan of the Castlevania series in general, and how the fuck do we make it into a TTRPG. All that and more starting here in about 5 minutes. Get yourself some coffee, something to snack on, and I'll see you then. What is up, everybody? Let's get into today. I have been off yesterday. We lost internet, but today we are back. We have plenty of internet, and I have a ton of stuff to talk about. I even whipped out my glass today for the new Castlevania Nocturn season. So I figured I'd be doing this. This is Scrimshaw if you're looking for some dope mugs. No sponsor or anything, just love what they make. Myself and I think Serving Hands owns quite a few of these. But today is the release of Nocturn, and after Midwinter this weekend and being around designers and talking to friends that were there and running things for Dragon Sandbox, I also have really been diving into some solo RPGs just because as a GM, I find that I don't get to play in games as often as I would like. That's probably the best way to say it. There aren't a lot of GMs out there, and anytime people ask to play games, it's usually asking me to run something as a paid game or games amongst friends. So, with that, I wanted to design something that could be used as solo or, in recent adventures for myself, duo games, or even better yet, when all that's done, maybe you want to play a group with a GM. So today I'm going to dive into the idea of how to design Castlevania as a TTRPG, and we are not using D&D for it. I actually have a system that I think will be, I feel like I got a piece of hair here. I feel like I have a system that would be much better and way more suited to running this, especially when you're doing solo games. I find that D&D gets in the way of itself when you're trying to accomplish it and get it done. But before we do that, we're going to kind of dive into some news. We're going to talk about some news here. So I want to go over the new Bastionland news, which is going to be related to something that has to do with today. Shadow Dark, or Arcane Library, put out a bunch of new information. We're going to look at that. Evil Genius's Sidekick, which is brand new. I didn't even know this was in the pipeline. And then just some general news for EFP towards the end of the show. So, enough fucking around. Let's take a look at what Bastionland put out. This is pretty entertaining. So Bastionland is Chris McDowell. This guy is a gangster of a game designer. I love his work. He's done a ton of stuff. And he puts out a ton of different things. So this Wednesday, yesterday, while the internet was out, I was reading this, which is the Electric Broadcast. This is pretty fucking cool. It took me a couple read-throughs to realize what he was making. So Bastion is full of broadcasts. The very air you breathe is filled with transmissions waiting to be received. Radio, tele, machines silently pinging their plots to each other. So let me scoot this over so I can read it a little better because I'm not in front of the camera here. This is, I believe, for Electric Bastionlands, because he's done Electric. Mythic is the one that's getting ready to come out, which is like King Arthur and a bunch of knights. And once it releases, we're going to take a look at characters. I've ran a couple versions of it. If you've seen my Instagram post, I was painting up small hex tiles to take to run games. I adore the Bastionland style of gameplay. And a lot of companies have picked it up as well. And in this, he's giving you some spark tables, or that's what he calls them, to come up with ideas. So lately, everyone seems to be enjoying the telly without with wind out that aerial and flick of the screen, tap of glass, it doesn't look right. Current models come in 9 of the most popular channels tuned in. So you got a D10 table here you get to roll on, which is video, nasty, sedate general interest programming by day, the deranged filth you've ever seen by night. They switched their name from Good Times when they released a few people were watching daytime broadcasts, and he goes through and he makes a whole like table of different channels. Then 10, if you know this, which is funny if you grew up with the old wooden box, if you know the right tuning, you set channel 0 to something strange, including scrambled channels, personal channels, or warp channels. So this post was really sent as a reward to Patreon supporters, which is kind of cool. Released freely on the site a week after its publication. So basically puts everything out the week before, puts out in afterwards. So he puts that out, and the next one up is the Infinite Counterplay. Previously wrote my favorite tactical combat. He's talking about making himself into making like tabletop RPGs in the newsletter that came out. But if you haven't checked out Mythic Bastion Lands, I don't do the paid one. I just do the regular one. If you're interested in Bastion Lands write-ups, this is what you got. So I'll close this out. Now we're going to talk about some things that have come up in recent Arcane Library. Arcane Library, if you don't know, are the people who make Shadowdark, which we've talked a lot about on this. We did an entire season of Breachers, one of my settings based around it. I'm going to pull up the email on my phone so I can talk to you about what's in here. So Arcane. Also, you haven't watched the most recent season of Arcane. It was fucking amazing. So they do a monthly release in Shadowdark. So Arcane Library puts out new monthly monsters, and it is I believe it is this, the Rogan Wolf. This is obviously based on, how is it, Beowulf? Not quite sure. But they give you a monster. I love the art for this. When night falls, demonic wolf spirit stalks amongst the corn and wheat fields. Farmers who get lost in the fields past dusk are doomed to be hunted and devoured. On occasion, a ravenous Rogan wolf will creep from the cornfields to snatch sleeping children from their beds. Only a silver horseshoe hung over a door or window can prevent the beast from crossing through. Cool little, this is a nice little piece of myth you can use. Looks like it's a level 7, which is pretty tough. Hi, serving hands. Happy birthday. Birthday girl. So, bunch of fun things on here. Slavering Wolf Demon. AC 13. Impervious. Only damaged by silver. Magical sources. Howl. It causes fear. They cannot attack next turn. Silver aversion. Cool little piece. But they went one further than this. So, in the email, they also have the Basilisk Warrior. Yeah, I had her sign my books. What's up, Nick? I had her sign my book her wife signed my book at Gen Con this year. And she did like the potions and stuff in it. But I think she's done a lot more in the adventures. So, in here, if we create a new character, I'm just going to do all the selections. My understanding is you can generate the Basilisk Warrior in here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I just want to see what you get. Is that actually, they said it's in here now. I don't see it. I'm getting super excited, blah, blah. Behold, the Basilisk Warrior class is now available to make characters on shadowdarkness.net, but I don't see it. Do I have to have something else on? I have everything on. Maybe it's Roustabout. It might be Roustabout. I see Roustabout. I don't see the thing they're talking about. Maybe it's not out yet. Huh. Oh, Cameron did the art for the class. That's awesome. Cameron's, we were playing his adventure he put out. He gave to me at Gen Con. Cameron's a local here out in Wisconsin. So I don't see the Basilisk Warrior on here. They're saying that you can build it, but I'm not seeing it. Yeah, it's the low stat character one. Yeah. Maybe they just didn't add it yet? They said it was supposed to be out today. I'll do a quick refresh, just in case. We'll turn them all on again. Active classes. Yeah, no, I don't see it. Well, maybe it'll be out tomorrow, but there's supposed to be the Basilisk Warrior on here, which is the new class. I'm not quite sure what it is, but it looks dope. I didn't see it, man. Look. It's not on here. Oh, fuck me. I'm an idiot. Thank you. Thank you for making me see how dumb I am. I want to see what this class is about. Oh, it's a spear user. I get petrifying gazes and shit? Dude. Well, if I think about what I would want that to be, I would want... That's a basilisk? I got it, Nick. I mean, man, probably half orc. So what do we got here? You find a basilisk egg. A loyal hatchling emerges 1d4 later. Roll duplicates. Oh. +1 weapon and damage tax. +2 strength, dex, or con. +1 use of petrifying gaze. 12, choose a talent or 2 points to attributes. Okay. This is very attribute heavy. Boomerang, club. So that means there's some new weapons in here. You have advantage on con checks to avoid harmful maladies. I like that. Really clean. One creature of your level or less meets your gaze must pass a DC 15 con check or be petrified for 1d4 rounds. It still takes damage as normal while petrified. You can use this talent a number of times a day equal to your con. Add 2 plus half your level rounded down to your AC. Give advantage on checks. That's awesome. That's a cool little class. I mean, it's nothing... I kind of wish I had a few more abilities in here. This just seems like a fighter stat check. But the ability's cool. Or I wish, like, if they failed their check over D4 rounds, they're permanently petrified or something. Like, I wish there was an upgrade in here. Just a little something. That's awesome. So, that's come out. That's on shadowdarklings.net to create, which I think is super cool. Let's see here. So after that, what else was in the newsletter? We had Xenosalvage. I'm going to pause this in case this is a video we can play. It does not. So correct me if I'm wrong, and Nick, you might know this. I thought a basilisk pet? Yeah, it's true. I thought that there was a no sci-fi rule for Shadow Dark in the licensing. So they must have went and got like explicit okay. I mean, they're also in the newsletter, but normally they said no sci-fi for Shadow Dark. So I was surprised to see this. I mean, I love it. I have no problem with it. I'm also fucking tired of seeing this. I could just put this on something. Doesn't make any sense to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand why. Anyway, it doesn't matter. This is cool. I love this Kickstarter fulfillment with drive-thru that they're doing. Publisher, printer. They're skipping that. Publisher, skipping that because you already have it. So you're just doing drive-thru. Shipping is cheaper because they have places that print all over the world. Customer. That's cool that they're showing kind of the breakdown. I actually really... If I did a Kickstarter as a solo like designer, or maybe as like two of us doing it, this is a really cool way to showcase why you are using drive-thru. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'm screenshotting this. I think this is a smart way. Like, people don't understand why some people use drive-thru to print their stuff, and this explains it really well. Okay, as to print. I just want to save this. So it's pretty cool. I saw that they're doing this. I thought it was awesome. I don't really know much more about it than that. That was in the newsletter. This was cool as fuck. This is the Dark Space RPG. Again, though, another sci-fi. And I swear to God they said no sci-fi. And they renamed like species to ancestries, and I don't know. I just didn't think you could do it, but this is out to buy now. So if you're interested in this, this is Dark Space. That's up for purchase already, which is cool. I've never been to this site before. Has anyone ever looked through their stuff? Oh, they do zines. Oh, that's kind of cool. Wait. Is this thing do a solo adventure? Can you like click through this? How does this work? Blackmore's Waterways, Room 43, Section 6. Section 6 of the Blackmore's Waterway include catacombs. Is this like a click-through adventure? I also like this guy's artwork for this. I'm pretty sure, man. I was looking through it because of something I'm designing. I had to be really careful with what I'm doing because they were saying no science fiction. No space, no science fiction. Unless it's changed, because they did update the license. That was the original license. So does this let you just click through this map? Well, this is kind of wicked. Look at this, is awesome. A great concept of breaking down a dungeon for people to look at. Super fun. I've been thinking about getting back into drawing dungeons. I always found it to be a little therapeutic, like being able to just focus down and work on a dungeon. I love drawing maps. I just haven't had the time lately. But this is a cool concept. So anyway, this is on the same website as Dark Space. I didn't know that they existed. This is a website that I will be putting in the show notes because I really like this. This is fucking cool. Dark Space. Awesome. What else was in this one? I just want to see what else there is for their stuff. Okay, so Dark Space made their own character sheets. Cool. There's also Gamma Dark, which I think is the old Gamma game, which Todd would be hella excited about this. Todd was a big fan of when they redid this, and I think it was polyhedral. Which is super cool. Thanks, Nick. I'll find it later. I'm not going to spend the time and go through it. There was something about not being able to do sci-fi shit, though. Unless I'm confusing licenses, but I'm only really working at 2 licenses right now. I didn't know this was out either. I might have to pick this up. I'm a big fan of Gamma as well. I know Todd loved it. I think this would be super fun to run. Is this created by the same people who did the original Gamma? Huh? Mutations, laser gun. Like, this is fucking hot. I really dig that font, by the way. That's a fun-ass font. Still readable. Almost has a 3D glasses feel to it, even though it's black and white. That's solid. So this is the Gamma Dark. I already put that up for you. I'm also going to add this to the show notes today. I think that's awesome that they did this. I would want to print a copy of this. I wonder if they have print on demand for it. They probably do. Gamma Dark. Nice. So that was in the newsletter. If you haven't signed up, you get the newsletter. You can go to Arcane Library and you can sign up for it. So this is pretty cool. And then this, I don't have volume 1. This art piece here looks exactly like a Warhammer Fantasy model. Like, it really, really does. It looks like Warhammer Fantasy, which is cool. I'm not dissing it by any stretch of the imagination. I move my stuff around here. What the fuck is this? Backtrack clip. Oh, it's just showing this on. Okay, cool. So I haven't looked at this yet. I was hoping there was a video for it, but there's not. I love this tag. I'm a big fan of like the rated R tag growing up. Because it's nostalgia to me as someone who, you're not supposed to go to these horror movies. They're fucking bad for you, right? Yes. Right, exactly. I know Serving Hands rideable fucking dinos. That's exactly why I pulled this up. I thought it'd be really fun to take a look at. So this is pretty cool. This is a new Kickstarter. I don't have the original one. Nick, I'm not sure if you have Volume 1 for Righteous Vow, but they're backing it. It looks like it's a zine. Righteous Vow Volume 2, The Whispers of Min. It's a 120-page epic adventure zine, overflowing with full original adventure, original art, new ancestries, original maps, hex crawl, new magical items, and more. Set in the land of Min, I think is how it's pronounced. Adventure features Ratkin of Min and their war against the lizard men of the cult of Sept. Pretty cool. Good OSR. I wish this bottom part went away when you're trying to fucking look at shit. Let me zoom this out a little bit. I like zooming in on these because it bops the side out, but get that Dresden moment when he's riding the dino of Chicago. Oh my god. Yes, Dresden Files, man. Yeah, but one is out already. You can buy one. I'm pretty sure. Let me double check. What's it called? Something Vow? Righteous Vow Volume 1? Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. The Lich King of Ur. Is that what it is? Yeah, it's this one. Hold on. There you go. It's this. I need you to review it first. Ha! Maybe. It's $9.99. It's not bad. I'm curious. I like the cover art on the dinosaur one more. Very clean. I'm hoping some people in the Shadow Dark ecosystem and design sphere start doing a little bit more with the designs. I don't want them to stray into 5e territory, but I'd like some color. I'd like just a little bit more. I love the art that they're getting, though. The art's fantastic. Very cool. Huh. Yeah, this is the rumors. I also like when encounters. I think, like, this is a hot take. I was just talking to another designer today about designing Shadow Dark stuff. And just designing encounter tables. I don't think that every encounter table needs to be a combat encounter. I think some encounter tables should be just encounters, just cool things. Like the Dark of Hot Springs Isle has a whole bunch of different encounter tables. One would say maybe too many, but that's made to be a long-term campaign. I just feel like it needs to have a little more love to it. I think that you need something that's like encounters in the city, and it should be a combat encounter and a non-combat encounter. I don't care if it's a split table with rolls where you get to pick. If they're two separate tables, splitting it this way. I don't care how you go about it. I just want more than just combat encounters. I feel like there is a little bit of a misunderstanding about Shadow Dark going on right now, where everyone thinks that you're in the dark, there's no light, there's a torch timer, and it's a dungeon crawl. When really, those are just the new rules that have been brought on board for a 5e styled experience, a 5e parallel experience. But there's so much more to the game than just everyone can't see in the dark, and you better have a torch and it burns out, and we're kicking down doors. There's so much RP, the carousal tables that are in there, and I think that having combat and non-combat encounter tables would go so far in any game design. But specifically, as I've been reading more of these Shadow Dark adventures. I want more tables than just combat for sure. What was that, Nick? I need to suck it up and commit to a quarterly. Nick, I have thought about doing a quarterly and getting a couple people to come write adventures and pieces to put in, and then just giving them a word count to fulfill and doing a quarterly. I think it would be a lot of fun. If you use like InDesign as the design program, you could even have 2 people doing design work for it quickly, or Canva. I prefer being, what does it say? I prefer being a creature in situations. So yeah, exactly. Like the table just needs more than combat. Like, so if we go back over to this, right? And granted, we're only seeing 7-page preview of this gigantic piece, but here it says skeleton giant cyclops, 2d6 skeleton knights, 1d6 skeletal archers, like 2d6 tomb robbers, use the bandits. Like there's no story elements to this. Rumors have story elements, but rumors are used for a different thing. I just want to see a little more. I am interested in this though. So if you're looking for volume 1, this is volume 1. Righteous Vow volume 1. There you go. In case you're interested in that, I kind of want to pick it up, so I'll add it to cart. Maybe I'll take a look at it after the show and decide from there. But their volume 2 is coming out. I love that they're backing it in a Kickstarter. I honestly, if I was doing a quarterly, I would probably do a quarterly Kickstarter to do this style thing. I think it's really smart. I hope they hit a higher goal than this. Like 250 seems like not a lot to write this gigantic book. Also, 120-page zine. That means it's 60. What would it be? 120. Quarter it. So 30 pages, double-sided, split in half. I mean, that's a fat fucking zine. I hope the PDF is hyperlinked. You know my rules. But this is out now. You can back this. They did the same thing for this one. They kind of did the breakdown. I love that they did this. Collaboration with the Pits Below, which I'm not familiar with. So this is another one of those cool ones coming out. We got Rogar, and then we got the new Basilisk class on here. Super fun. I really like that they put all this together. So that's kind of like the brief news that I wanted to hit up on. Now, with that said, Chris from Mythic Bastion Lands said that he is almost done with the PDF for Mythic Bastion Lands. There's been a lot of delays in this. It was supposed to come out, I think it was June of last year, but the artist got sick. We had to wait. One artist is doing all the art in Mythic Bastion Lands. If I have not shown off Mythic Bastion Lands on stream, it's fucking gorgeous. And it's Arthurian, but not. It's kind of dark. It is definitely based on the idea of hex crawl, with passage of time being how your knight gets better by getting land and everything. But I really love the mechanics for Into the Odd and for Bastion Land. Bastion Land just feels like a more polished version. And we've seen other companies like Draw Steel come to the idea that rolling to hit and damage should be all one, to cut down the amount of times that you're rolling to accomplish the goal that everybody wants to do. It also doesn't feel great for players when they miss, unless there is something they get when they miss. We've seen numerous designs out of TTRPGs recently have the fail forward mechanic. I think since Apocalypse World and Dungeon World, we really kind of saw the fail forward get brought to the forefront in design as kind of like one of the pillars of design. Even with Tales of the Valiant, they made it to where you're getting your points on failures on attacks. I still think that Wizards should get something when people make rolls, because a wizard's spells are so limited. But what do I know? But this design idea of the fail forward is pretty cool. And if you don't know how Into the Odd and Mythic Bastion Lands works, There are 3 stats in Mythic Bastion lands, and those use d20s when you make checks, and it's a roll under system. We had to remember for a minute. And you want to roll under your amount to be successful. And those are more for like saves and stuff. Those aren't really for combat. Because the way combat works is everything gets allotted a dice between D4 to D12. They all get allotted one. And I know people have problems with D12s because they say 2D6 gives you a better average, so on and so on. Yeah, but it's not about the average in this game. Successes are on a 4. That means that anytime you get a 4, that counts as a success. No matter the die. D4 through D12. If you get an 8, that counts as success in a better version of what they call a gambit in Bastion. Sometimes they're called a stunt. Like, it depends on what system's using them. I'll be using something else for it in my design. And that allows you to like add damage or knock down defenses or do something extra. Do something more than just being successful. So you gather your die pool, and for example, in Mythic Bastion lands, this could be your horse has got trample, which is a D6. You have a halberd, which is a D12. And then let's say you have Righteous Fury, which gives you a D6. You would gather those 3 dice and you'd roll them. And this is your attack and defense, kind of all attack and damage all in one. When you roll to do damage, you take the number that is the highest out of all the dice. Doesn't matter what it is. If it happens as a D4 is a 4 and the rest roll horribly, that's your damage to start. And that's what you're doing, 4 points. And armor reduces the damage. And armor goes down and vitality goes down in Bastion lands, like hit points. But after you get past that kind of like vitality part, you just start taking damage. And you get scars and wounded and bad shit happens. But let's say you rolled a 12, an 8, and a 4. That means your 12 becomes a damage. You would get a gambit. 8 would be a success with a gambit. And then 4 would also be success. If you just wanted to do damage, you could just step those up by a lot. And you could also have stunts that you can do where you can do like powerful things like smite an area with a power. And I was thinking about this design over most of Midwinter. I ran a lot of games at Midwinter this year. I was helping Dragon Sandbox out. They're a local group who does pay-to-play tabletop, and specifically D&D. You show up, you are at this amazing restaurant that is ran by an awesome chef out here. It has this like endearing found object / like hobbit hole. It's really different. There's secret passages in the basement. It's just awesome. We play there, and pizza's brought in. That's part of the experience. There's cocktails you can buy. You get a roll of die. They can give you a new potion. They may be wild cursed or wild magic potions if you roll a certain thing. Then when you go to the table, you show that card. And the GM gets to use whatever fucking wild table they want to use for their table. At the beginning of it, they give you X amount of adventures to pick from. You and your group that are compiled together take the story that they like that's somewhere between 3 to 5 sentences and say, I want to play that. You go off the GM and you sit down and you play a 4 to 5 hour session, a 4 hour session, I'll say, to get things done. The thing is, it's really for new players or for people who don't have a consistent GM, or they want to play with friends in there and inviting new people. So you're teaching people how to play a lot. And I have learned by doing this and by working a lot of cons, there's a lot of rules that gamers who play all the time take for advantage, that they think just work. Like, how do you not know this? How do you not know that you're rolling damage and this? How do you not? They don't know because they haven't been taught. The first couple times it's like, oh my god, I'm just running con games. And it really is con games. And people come back and they eventually get to level their characters, I think after like 10 sessions or something like that. They're starting at level 4, they have some abilities. The owner of it has made it to where all of your spells and abilities are on cards to make it easier for you to understand. So while I was at con running this, I ran Choice of Life for the full gameplay session on Sunday. And I did a drop-in, drop-out using Citadel of Pain, an old Pathfinder 1. I just converted on the fly to Shadow, or to 5e, not Shadow, to 5e. Ran great. Super fun. They only got through, like, it's a 100-page dungeon, like 108.5 by 11 sheets. for Citadel of Pain, written by Lou Agresta, Rome Barton, a couple other designers, and then it's published by Gaming Paper. What I learned in the drop-in, drop-out, even more than I have in any other, like, I seriously mean any other paid game that I've ran or convention game, drop-in, drop-out changed my perspective on how to quickly convey the message of what you're about to play and catch people back up. And it is not an easy thing to do. When you have people playing for like 30 minutes and they're in between two game sessions and they're bouncing, you can't take it personally if it's drop in, drop out. A lot of GMs take that shit personally. No, they're just there to play and fill the time before they go to another event. We're kind of like keep the momentum going. Keep your drink on. You don't want to stop drinking. You don't want to dry out, right? You don't want your dice to dry out. It's the same thing as that. You just got to keep going through it. So people were dropping in and out of the games, and I realized that these people are dropping in and out. Some are experienced, some aren't. And the experienced people, unless they're GMs, get pretty frustrated with the new players. But new players are the ones who always seem to think off the page. Because they're afraid to look at the page. It's just a jumble of bullshit that they don't understand. I had a little kid that sat down. I think he was like 9 or 10. That's my guess. With his dad. Dad's like, warning, we haven't played a lot. I'm like, no big deal. And I invited everybody into the dungeon differently. There was an Iron Maiden following them around that opened up. It was a portal to Sigil, which is I've always called it. And they were putting people out, and this was really a trial to get people to turn water back on and solve the problem. But really, it wasn't. People were placing wagers on people dying inside of this dungeon. They wanted the water on, they wanted the brews flowing again, but really it was about getting automatons back under control and using it as a way to gamble. And every person went in, I gave them a new story. And it was really short, it was really succinct. So I was like, you got hired to do this? Right now the water is off. They're telling you that there are automatons there that believe they are deviceless now and don't work for anyone. You're being paid to go in there, and there are 3 altars inside of this place. To you, they'd be altars. To them, they are devices. They need to be turned on. Once that's done, they'll get you out. Don't worry. We've sent other groups in there that are also helping. Everything has went really well so far. In the next group, I'd be like, you're the first people in, even though there's already 2 groups in. In the next group, I'd say, everyone else has died. This went in. We'll pay you more because, maybe that person was spellcasters and we were short spellcasters. It was fun. That kid had some of the most inventive ideas. And then I watched the kid and a very veteran player talk to each other about spells. And I had a troglodyte that was melting down the automatons and capping his teeth in brass and bronze and stuff. And this guy decided to use heat metal in the guy's mouth. You know when you get those genius moments with spells or creative ways to use something that you're like, yeah, I can't say no to that. It's too cool to not let it happen. But then I had other people sit down that didn't even know how to roll a d20. So you got these like veterans. I told everybody at the table, like, just drop in, drop out. Anyone who understands the game, help the person to your left. And I pushed responsibilities onto the player side of the table. And I have found over the years, by having your players help other people, they aren't on their phone dicking around the entire time. And they're more engaged because they're putting skin into the game, so to speak, to be involved and to help others learn. So it was super fun. But the thing that fucked everybody up was rolling to hit, rolling saves, and then also rolling for damage. They didn't quite understand the mechanics behind it. So today, when we design my Vania style TTRPG, we're not using D&D. Instead, I want to use Into the Odd and Bastion lands. I think it works great for solo, duo, and group play. So I've started laying some things out. It's not 100%. It's not done. Put those PCs to work. That is right. Make them fucking learn. But really, it keeps them focused. So many people want to claim, or are, ADHD and all that kind of shit. But if you give them a task, like a task rabbit, they got something to do. So I've always done it, but even more so in this one than ever. I was putting them to work, giving them a focus to help them stay in game. It works really well. So I want to go over the design. I laid out some rough stuff. Nothing huge. I also have a file that I started writing up my Towervania. Granted, most of my ideas are up here. I have some written out. I have a sheet over here that's rough notes that aren't as organized. But I have a good idea on how I see this game playing. I am going to have to do some rough sketching to explain maybe the physical product even more than the game. Because I want to do something a little wild with this. So let's go over and I'll show you the rough idea that I have. And then I will explain how I came to some of these conclusions. And we'll do a little bit of design work today, obviously. So let me grab an Ipsum. I need an Ipsum generator. I need a fun Ipsum generator. Vampires? Let's see if there's a vampire Ipsum generator. Ipsum vampire generator. No. I don't want name gen. I want Ipsum generators. So Ipsum you use to fill space on a page so you can do layout easier. Horror Ipsum? Sure, horror Ipsum will work. Scare me of some text. Done. All right. So we're going to go over to the table. I'm going to put some body text in here. And I already kind of started laying some rough stuff out just to get some things together. I wanted something that was 2-column. There will be some 1-column stuff in here as well. And we'll just kind of delete this. So this is just like a rough layout. Obviously it'll be a cover. I bet you ChatGPT could. 100% could. They're probably one of the best Ipsum generators possible. And I do use chat for a lot of stuff. So I'm inspired by the fact that Castlevania is a solo playing game. In general, Castlevania is a solo player game. If you're playing the video game. I love how it is played. I love what you can do with it. I love the itemization. I like the gear you unlock. I love the exploration. All that kind of stuff. I should be recording this part, shouldn't I? Nah, I'll record it afterwards. I'll record it because I want to talk about it first to get some thoughts on it. Then we'll record. Oh, you didn't even get to see this. Hold on. I didn't even show you guys the ad. I'm an idiot. Did you guys see this? So Nocturn Season 2, I think it is, came out today. Super excited to watch this. If you've not watched Netflix, Castlevania is wonderful. I really like the Warren Ellis seasons, but this Nocturn season, I don't know, man. There's something about it just hitting right for me. Last season and this season. So I wanted to design a Towervania where you could play solo player game, duo, which if you haven't played duo games, GM list, like where you're both GMing, it is a lot of fun. I get some really good stories out of it. I'm playing in 2 different ones right now that are on and off. They're very spaced apart. One's with a really good friend of mine, and then the other one is with someone who's paying to want to play tabletop RPGs. And I was like, well, let's do duo until you're comfortable, and then we'll put you into a group, which I thought was a really fun way to do it. Because I think if you can play one-on-one with somebody, I think the fear of talking at the table to people goes away. It just dies because you just got done doing a one-on-one with a GM where it's just you two accomplishing the same goal, playing a game together and building a story. If you can get past that hurdle, playing with a group shouldn't be a problem. It really shouldn't. So I want Towervania to have that. And I have an image for the cover where it's... So I found art. Let me start there. I found art that inspired the idea of a Castlevania style story. I'm not going to use this art, obviously, unless I buy it from the artist. But it's really fucking cool. So let me grab it from my phone and send it to my Discord. The only thing is it's vertical, and I really need this to be not vertical. I need it to be a horizontal piece for what I want to do. But it's okay. Let me go to Discord here. And I'm going to send it here. Now let's grab it from here. And open it up. So this piece is kind of like the inspirational piece for me. I love how this looks. I like that it doesn't make any sense. This would not be a normal castle, but a mythical castle somewhere in another realm, another plane of existence, in a magical spot, something built ages ago out of the structure of volcanoes, or maybe a mage that formed volcanoes in a volcanic rock and carved it away. Like, it's just a cool set piece. And I love when towers connect and meander. It's just a beautiful piece. So I saw this, and I thought about the cover being something like this, but then I thought, man, I love iconic design. I love things that make you look at them and go, what the fuck is this? I think if it was a bunch of different TVs and electronic sets kind of stacked together with the screens having displays of horror movie paraphernalia on them, and they represent those sections of the towers, it'd be a really cool cover piece, especially if it was like chrome or something like that. Like it has the hologram kind of feel to it. That's just how I was seeing the cover. Can always change, but I like the idea of towers because Castlevania is just a bunch of towers stuck together. Well, then I started thinking about what a book looks like in layout. How would you play this solo? When you play Castlevania, you are a character with an inventory screen and you are moving through a horizontal map. So if you go through here and you look up, let me find a good horizontal map for us here. Let me pull this over. So Castlevania style maps are all over the place. Numerous people have made Castlevania maps. There's somebody who did all the Barovia maps, like the Castle Ravenloft maps, in this style. And I would even say TTRPG maps. Let's just see what we pull up. Because there was a guy on Reddit who did top-down versions. Yeah, it's this one. This is super cool. But I don't want top-down. Like, I love this. This is wonderful. But I want the horizontal scroll style. And the reason I want a horizontal scroll style, I want to take the book. If this is the book, we're going to scroll down a page. I want to take the book and divide the top half as the maps and the bottom half is the information. And I want to go a step further. And where this split is here, like if I do a line on here, I'm going to do dotted. And I'm going to do it in red. I want to split this in half. Like, I literally want the book to be cut in half. Like, what are those French doors where the top and bottom swing? You know what I mean? Like, they can open separately. I want it to be like that. I really do. And the reason I think this could work is that means that the bottom of the book can be your information and your adventure. And instead of page numbers, there are corresponding map numbers. So if you're in A1, room A1, the bottom of the page, instead of saying page 1, it would say A1 or greenhouse 1 or greenhouse 2 or greenhouse B or whatever, probably letters over numbers, to be honest. but it'd be like Greenhouse B. And that page would be done in color. Because the best thing about Symphony of the Night, which is, that's what these maps are. This is the old Symphony of the Night maps. Right? That Symphony of the Night map is color-coded. Which is cool. So I think you would do yellow for the bottom of the page, and that top pages would flip separately than the bottom half. So that you can flip through and you clip your page, you know where you are. And a step further, the inside of the book cover, you can have pages that fold out. And I think it'd be super fucking cool if the top part would fold out into the beginning and end of the map, and the middle page you can flip. And you can go through different levels, you can go depths into the levels and stuff like that. And maybe some pages actually have like top-down tactical maps if you want to do that. I kind of want to stay away from any tactical in this. And you have this movement of going through. My concept for the mechanics for the game, and hear me out on this, I think this is good. Let's scroll down here. Oh yeah, I started grabbing like art pieces to pull together. So I'm going to duplicate this page, right? So I'm just going to put rules here, or attributes, attributes, right? So your attributes are going to be this. It's going to be fight, magic, gear, story. Yes, you got it, Nick. You could have an accordion style zine that way. You got it. So, or I thought about the binder style, because binders have come a long way. The thin binders carry journal binders with the rings, because then you can have top half and bottom half. If you change adventures, you can just take those kits out, put them back together for storage, put the new ones in. That's the other version I've thought about. What's up, Nessie? Say happy birthday to Serving Hands. So I feel like it could be something cool. So I'm going to zoom in here. So I have these attributes, right? I'm going to bold all these. So fight. I got to go up one. All attributes are determined by Slayer. Yeah, I don't want to do cards. I want it to be a journal. I don't want it to be a card game in the slightest. I thought about that because I have like dungeon tile cards I bring around with me. Boss Battles has that. I don't want it to be a board game because I want it to be solo, duo, and later on maybe an occult deck would be cool, but I would make it digital for people. Also, I think hyperlinks for this are gonna be fucking dope because of how my brain is working for it. But I don't want to have cards. I did think about that. My initial design had them, and I kind of ixnayed it pretty quickly. So all attributes determined by, I don't know if it's going to be called a Slayer class or Slayer profession or Slayer type. Oh, Grimoire. Slayer Grimoire. Dice range from D4. Dice. If I had to teach people, I can't do that. Dice go from D4, D6, D8, D10, and D12. Dice scale from D4, D8, D6, D12. Also, for design people, do you like the lowercase d or do you like the uppercase? I prefer this. Personally. I prefer capitalized. And I would bold this like so. Right? These dice, the dice can increase through gameplay. XP, I don't know if it's going to be experience. I think it's going to be like attribute sites or something like that. I don't see the grind being the experience. I see the leveling being finishing maps. And here's why. So fight. Fight. Attribute used. This is used for melee or ranged combat. Very simple. Magic. This is used, oh, stupid bold. This is used for any magical, any magic spells or knowledge. Let me cut this down a little bit. Gear. All gear have a die assigned that can be used for, what would it be? Developing, for gathering, for compiling your dice pool, for building. Dice pool. Okay. And then story. This is gained. This is different. How do I want to word this? Each map section has its own die assigned based on completion. So as you're completing each map section, your base die will go up. So if you're in the, let's say you're in the garden area and you complete a good chunk of that map, your die steps will go up, but also through NPCs based on completion, NPCs, and story completion. So now you get these 3 areas that you get to build your dice pools out of, which I think is kind of cool. So if we look at how this would function, you would say you pick a whip slayer, right? Your slayer in the grimoire is whip master, a la Richter or any Belmont, right? Or the Belmont. It just could be called Belmont, whatever the fuck we name it. They get a D6 in whips because they're better with it. They have a really good melee weapon. So maybe it's a D8 melee weapon. And then they don't really have a lot of magic to start. So their magic is maybe none. And then their gear, they have a D4 pick a gear, right? And then the story is they are already a slayer. They've done this before. So they start with a D6 in every section because they're researched on this. They're decent at it. So that would be their dice pool to fight. Now, I will do this on the next page. So we're going to copy this again. We're going to duplicate it. Right? This is going to be combat. So I have this idea for combat. I know without a shadow of a doubt that I want armor to be reduction. So armor reduces damage for characters, for PCs, for anyone wearing it. For, I'll just say PCs, NPCs, and monsters. Right? The reason I want to use reduction is it's faster. And also, I have an idea based on Knave, Shadow Dark, old OSR, and video games, because we all talk about having X amount of gear you can carry. I think it's cool when your gear can be lost. But I have an idea. And I'm pretty sure this is going to be in here. I'm hoping the tic-tac-toe is in here. Oops. Okay. I have an idea, and I haven't gotten to complete this yet. But so far, in my very little playtesting, it works. So we're going to shrink this down. We're going to get rid of this body text. Well, we'll use this body text, actually. So, you're going to have armor, hit points, and then you're going to have die. And this is for monsters, right? This is monster stuff. I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to bring it over. And this is for monsters. There was a Highlander card game back in the day that I was a big fan of. And they did some really inventive stuff with the Highlander card game. You had attack and defense cards that had a grid. And I believe they were more than... I think it was more than a tic-tac-toe board, but I want to keep it simple. So let's see if I can find an attack grid card. Let's go over this and take a look. Because there's a grid. Maybe it was defense. Yeah, so see in this corner here, how it attacks middle? It's a piercing shot. They had this tic-tac-toe board. And when you would do attacks, it would do X amount of damage and it would strike in certain areas. So like this is a diagonal. It's like a swipe up. And it would hit 2 squares. And then their defense cards would do something very similar. Their defense cards would parry sections. So like this one would parry the top, like you would block across. And if any attacks were in there, you would block X amount. And I can't remember, but I believe that the colors determine severity of damage. I think that's how it worked. It's been a long time. The game store that I used to play at used this a lot for when they were playing games. Like they loved Highlander. There was entire tournaments like for fucking at least 2 years that I can remember. This was like the hot game at our game store. Now, taking us back to this, what if we did something similar for combat? So let's just say, hear me out. Let's take headings. I'm going to drop this down to 16 point. All right. I'm going to move this over. And let's just say we did armor. Right? I'm going to duplicate it. We do H for health. There's no reason to use HP. You don't need to. Okay. And then let's say we do the die types. Here's my thought. I think that the top row is head. The middle row is torso and arms. And the bottom row is hips and legs. Right? Like groin and leg. Because that's like your areas you're defending. So if that's the case, we can legitimately... I'm going to duplicate this a couple times. We're just going to fucking put them in place. Like so. You would have these little charts that get put in here. Like so. And these would be grayed out pretty faint in the background, I think. Or you would just explain it once and let people fucking know. So this would be head, right? You go head. Actually, I think these would all just be head. Because they could be in any of these boxes, and that's head damage, right? We'll just say. Then you got right arm, so left arm, torso, right arm, groin, who gives a fuck? Left leg, and right leg. All right, so let me just line these bitches up. Okay. Done. 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 Center. Oh, shit. Okay. These don't have to be perfect for this. This is just a template. Like I would do these in a different program later. So let's gray these so they're not as bright, right? We want these faded. So we'll pick like a light gray, and then we will dump the opacity down. Okay, so let's say these are the backgrounds, right? And now, my belief is you have armors if something is armored, and you have hit points if something is hit points. So for me, I would go into these, and I would put this A over top, armor 3, right? Well, let's just duplicate this a couple times. I'm honestly thinking this out loud again because my notes for this are downstairs. Really, I need to put these towards the corners. I did that wrong. These should actually be more like this. So you got space to write in. And then also monsters have multiple heads. You can put them across top. But you could do A3s for their armor, right? Like, let's say they have A3 and everything. Let's just move these down. So they have armor 3. Like so. How would I want to organize this so it makes sense? I guess like that. And then put the hit points above? Sure. And let's say their arms don't have any, right? But their head does. I wonder if you could just do a row. So then you have health. And it's low numbers. So like health 5 for torso. Duplicate it. You can say arms have 2. And you know what? You probably don't even have to put H next to it. I bet you could just put the 5. Looking at it now. Like so. Yeah, that works. And you do the head. Head probably has 3. And we'll make a system for this later. And I think, honestly, legs will probably be the same thing for the sake of argument for this sample. I think you could color code it, or you just say armor 3 on all limbs or armor 2 on all limbs, whatever it is you want to do. Once we get like the way armor is set up. But here's what I want it to be. So you got all these locations that you're trying to hit and to take them down. That's the short and sweet of it. He's got 3 head, 5 torso, 2 here. He's got 3 in the groin. And then we'll say he's got 4 here. Maybe he's beefy. Let me delete this. Nope, delete. When you're fighting a creature with whatever the hit points are, once I clean up how this is going to look, my thought is next to each one of these, like if we shrink this down just a touch, you have die types here. And this one could be D4 for head attacks. Maybe it's got a bite, right? You duplicate it, you put it here. This has D6 for whatever the arm and torso attacks are. And then you could duplicate this again, and you could say this one is a D5, a D8. Maybe it's like a jumping talent-like creature. So this would be your monster, and these would be the attack categories. Anytime you whittle out a row, unless it doesn't die from headshots, which are going to be hard to hit, you take away the die. They can't use this as attack anymore. Because remember, they're making dice pools as well. So this would be a D4, D6, D8 dice pool. You need 4s to hit, high number, just like the game. So, for example, if I roll this in chat, let's say I'm attacking him with that Belmont that we made earlier, right? So we are going to roll a D6. Oops, I forgot to do roll. Roll D6. Roll D8. And then roll D4. Okay, we're looking for 4 and higher. So we got 1 success and a 6 being the best. All we got was a 6. So that means we hit, we do 6 points of damage. Looking at what we did right here, all you do is mark off the categories. 6 points means we'll have to figure out a hit location. I think unless you get a gambit, like an 8+, you don't get to pick a location. It's always torso first, because that's the center of mass. So he has armor of 3, 5. We would have done 2 points of damage to him. 6 points. So 3 points of damage to him. He'd have 2 points left. And that means he would get all of his dice. He would attack us. It would be the same thing. We would see how much damage we take, and you wash, rinse, repeat. This is a pretty beefy target. But as you go through the game and your story gets better and you get better gear, fighting something like this becomes easier when you're rolling D10s for everything. So for example, let's say we're fighting the same creature later, and we do D10s. I'm just going to do a couple of them. See if it does it. So we got a success. We got a failure. See if the last one rolls in. It may not. Cooldowns. A 10. So now we're doing 10 points. We could boost it 1 with that 5, because that's a 4 or higher. So we'd be doing 11 points. If we go back to looking at him now we're like, all right, we could do a gambit. I want to strike the head and just off this thing. It's like targeting somebody, right? Like, you have the ability to hit their head. We know they have 3 armor. We're targeting 1 body part. We're going to target head. We can target 1 away. Maybe 2 gambits let you target a head. Maybe 1 gambit lets you target an arm or a leg. That probably makes way more sense. Ooh. If you can target locations based on the amount of gambits. That might work. I need a note sheet. Come on here. We're gonna duplicate. We're just gonna delete this shit, and we're gonna do a note sheet. We'll stretch it across. And we'll move it over. Okay? So, what if... Let's talk about gambits. We'll probably rename it. I don't like gambits for this game. What do we want to call a stunt? A maneuver? Maneuver's too long of a word. A stunt. I like stunt. A skill? What if it's skills? Because you have attributes. There's no skills in the game. What if a skill is the thing you use by getting... We'll do that. Only worry I have is, are we retraining the wheel by using the word skill? Do we actually need a different terminology so people understand, or will they learn it quick enough? Anytime you roll a 8 or higher, a trick, maybe, yeah. You know what we should do? Hold on here. Let me pull up Acrobat, and let me show you Mythic. So we're probably going to want Knave open, because there's some stuff out of Knave I really like. And then we're probably going to want Mythic Bastion lands open, right? Just so I can explain this in a little bit better of a way. Is this the most recent one? I think it's this one. No, that's not right. There we go. So let me take us over to the other board here. Give me a sec. Maybe make sure my Acrobat is scaled appropriately. There we go. We slide it over. So this is the print preview for it. So this has not got all the art in it and all that kind of stuff. But I like this concept a lot. There is something I'm going to cut out, though. I think I'm cutting the D20 out. I don't think I want the D20 in the game. Okay? So, very one-page design, philosophy. I mean, the source, I got the internet. I want something Castlevania sounding. So, and here's how you make your character in this game. And we're going to be deriving this into what we want. Theirs is ranks of glory. Ours are going to be levels of some form. They use a D20 in the game. I don't know if I want to. I kind of want to cut D20s out. But we have vigor, clarity, and spirit. Those are your 3 stats in their game. That's how theirs works. 3 virtues is what they call them. You roll a D12 plus a D6, and that's how many you get out of the gate. That's what your stats start as. Every time you go up in age, you roll that again, and you keep the higher of the 2. It's pretty cool. So like when you rank up through years of an age, you roll again. Pretty fun. Also, gorgeous art for this game. The basic rules are saves or D20 roll, you roll below. That's where they are using their D20s. And I'll show you a character sheet. Again, for those who are learning a game, I always recommend having a character sheet on hand to look at it. But Mythic Bastion Land, you got your 3 stats here. Your numbers would go in here that you're going to be rolling to roll under. Along with your guard and armor, which is like, guard is like how much you can take, which I love guard. We are going to be using the word guard. It's how much you can take, and then armor is how much it soaks. Right? You also have feats that you can do in this game, which are smite, focus, and deny. And you have gambits you can perform, which is like bolster an attack for +1 damage, move after an attack, repel a foe away from you, stop a foe from moving next turn, impair a weapon on their next turn, trap a shield into your next turn, dismount a foe, other effect. Those gambits will get turned more into Castlevania or Vania style things like double jump, like move, like climb or move, double your movement by jumping up. It's kind of what that move is, but we want to add the verticality into it. If you have the boots for it, or you've learned that grimoire, or whatever it is you want to use for it. So that's kind of how this functions. If we go back to, let me close this out. We go back to looking at this. You have virtues, turns, surprise, reaction, exposed, feats, death, attacks. Again, 4s and 8s are what you're looking for. 4s are a success. 8s are a success with a better gambit. And all 4s are a regular gambit because there's gambits and improved gambits. We can talk about harm and scars later. So here you got your feats. If you want to use a feat, you roll using one of those 3 stats. They allow you to do extra things. But there's gambit and strong gambit. A 4 or higher performs a gambit. Period. You always take your highest die as damage in this game. So if you have a 12 and it rolls a 12, that's your damage. And then anything else that's a 4 to a 7 gives you a gambit. Anything that's an 8 or higher gives you a strong gambit. So strong gambit is creature doesn't get to save. Greater effect, like disarming them or something. In our game, I would say you bypass armor or hit a weak point on the creature, basically bypassing any armor that they're wearing. So if we go back to our setup here, now that we've kind of talked through the rulings of like kind of like what we're looking at, what rules we're kind of designing around, because this is still like early stages, right? We need to talk about how do we want this combat chart to work. I think that looking at this now, I almost think armor 3 and you just delete this. You're bloating the sections too much. And simplicity is always key. So I think you delete that. And I think it's armor 3. And then you can do head 2. Right? Maybe that's how it's statted out. So you know if they're hitting a head category, they have 2 armor because it's less armor. And you can even train people to where you don't even have to put the head anymore. You can put something else. I like these being the attacks. And then next to these, what I think I would do, I would duplicate this 3 times, right? And we will grab these. We will move it over to here. Move this to here. And then these would go here. What font is that? That's 10. We'll go like that then to make this easier. And then it gives us a little space to write information. And it could be spiked helm, right? Let me delete these because we don't need them now. Let's duplicate this. Boom, boom. And we go like this. And then we'll say it's we're gonna do a monster. So we'll say bladed arm. Short bladed arm. Bladed arms. And then for this, we'll say bestial bird claws made of gems. Whatever. We're just going to kind of make shit up. So now we know what our attacks are. They kind of fit in here. They fit in the grid. You know what they are. We can say AC or armor. Probably just do this. Armor. This is armor and AR and AH. Armor? Maybe like that. And then just put 3-2. We can compile and format this later. Right now, I just kind of want to have the information here so people know for your stat block. Like so. And then you can have a write-up too. So like whatever the write-up is, you would have description. Description here of the creature. I think the sample would be like a full helm. A jumping blade armed abomination created in a lab. Spiked helm of a long dead knight. Dead. Done. All right. So now you got this. So we can kind of copy this thing. We can just move this down a little bit. So I'm just going to mark that this is a description of creature. I'm going to put that it should be 3 lines. Creature. 2 to 3 lines. Boom. And then I will italicize it to remind myself to delete this later on. So now you get this stat block where you can trade things. And then you can even put, if it has any special abilities, if we cut this and paste it, down here, you can put special abilities. And I would just color code the blocks. I kind of think the idea of like a blue, a green, blue, yellow, or a green, red, something determines armor or damage or something really clean for it. And I think you just mark damage in it to give you these nice little combat blocks, right? And you can fit a couple of these on the page. Like I'm making this larger as the teaching area. But you got to think, once you have this formatted properly, this could be about this big on the fucking page. And you can fit 3 to 4 characters on a page here. And then if the person's willing to write in their book, or if it's a 3-ring binder, or actually it would be a 6-ring, 3 for the bottom, 3 for the top, so they can flip separately. That bottom one, you could just reprint that page and put it in there if you needed to. Or if we got real spicy, you could print and dry erase some of those sections. Could also be kind of cool. So this is just more of a teaching aid for it, right? And I have it in black, but like, honestly, you could just make this any color you wanted to make it more legible. Make it fucking purple. Just so you can see it a little better. And then all these background ones that I have in here, like I just have them in place, but they could really be whatever. Like I kind of wanted to make them like this big for head and then put the numbers over top of them. I'm just afraid that they'll be too busy doing it that way. So this part will have to be figured out. But combat for it, that means as you're going through and fighting beasts in that area, when you're going through a room, I think the rooms are going to have a number under them that has the chance of a creature being in that room, right? If they're not been killed. And then how, if you've been gone and you're coming back to that room, if it's respawned, just like in any other game, it'd be like a 1 and 2, a 2 and a 1 and 6, a 2 and 6, a 3 and 6. And that scale will go up based on maybe you haven't killed the boss in an area, maybe you're being hunted. Every room is that way until you kill X creatures. You'll have safe rooms where you can get ability upgrades. So instead of getting experience by fighting, I think you get gear and whatnot. And then I think you find statues with grimoires and books that teach you new skills. So that's the rough for that, right? That's kind of how I see it working. So these are your stats. If you scroll back up, these are your attributes. And then here it would say, build a pool of dice from all attributes that can be logically used in a fight or story. So you're not grabbing everything. Like if you're not using magic, you can't grab a magic die. It's got to make sense. The only one I think is going to be tough to carry is the story die. I almost think you would write it on the map, or you would have zones listed and what your stories are per zone. But I think this is a great idea for like this kind of combat. I think these fit really well. And then you would have your combat rules down here. So we'd go through and break down combat. So, whoops. Following suit for this. Rolling your die pool. All 4 or higher equal a success with Gambit. All 8 or higher. All 8 or higher count are a success with a strong Gambit. Now we rename that. I don't like the word Gambit. What is some rules in Castlevania? Like, I wonder if we can find a Castlevania instruction manual. Just curiosity. Holy shit, we can. Is this scrollable? No, that's the wrong thing. Whoops. How is this not? Is it? How the fuck are you supposed to do this? There's nothing to scroll. Oh, it just opened a page. Oh, I see. So let's see if they used any terms that we can kind of pull for ideas. Man, look at this old baby. Yeah, instead of Gambit, I was looking for something else. I want something Castlevania-like. I think Symphony of the Night is probably the most... Let's see if we can find a Symphony of the Night. Instruction manuals. I mean, this must have them all. Look at this shit, everybody. Okay, well, this is getting added into here. Hold on. This will be links to reference. Castlevania instructions. That's amazing. I didn't know this was a thing, so. I mean, I should have known, but I didn't. So let's go back over here. So this has all of them. Was this the last Castlevania game to come out? 2021? 2021? Really? Huh. Well, let's look at the instruction manual. See if this has more. Oh, wow. Well, this is not in a language that I know. Fucking cool, but... So let's try this one? Lords of Shadow? Does anyone remember this game? Does anyone remember Lords of Shadow? Did anyone play it? I didn't play this game. Was it good? Like, was it a good game? Oh, yeah. Cool. You can only zoom in, all right? So we gotta... Let's go back to the front cover. Oh, I do remember this game. So we're currently looking for an explanation to like stats and shit like that. Physical actions, meeting other characters, combat moves and combos. Combo. Well, combos is when you're doing other things. So we didn't even get into this. All right. When you are playing, let's say duos, and we are going through the level, and we are fighting a gargoyle. We'll take a simple gargoyle as a concept. It jumps off the tower as we're entering in, swoops down to attack us. There's two of us playing together. Think Contra, right? Or Castlevania, one of them had two-player. I build my pool. I am a slayer that is the, for the sake of argument, the Belmont Grim. And then the other person is the Magician Grimoire. So they have a high magic. And we gather our stuff together. I'm like, okay, well, I know a little bit about this area. I'm good with the whip. That's a D6. My story is a D6 to start. I don't have a magic that I have, but I do have gear. I have Holy Fire that's a D4. So I'm going to use D6, D6, D4. Right? So D6, D6, D4. So we'll roll that in chat really quick. So I didn't mean to do that. That was... I don't know how the fuck I did that. D6. My bad. Sorry, everybody. D6... D6, cut, paste, D6, and then D4. See if we can get them all. If it doesn't work, I'll paste it again. Oof! I'm doing horrible. Let's do this last one. And D4. Oh no, the D4 worked. The D6 didn't work. So right now we have 2, 4, and 2. So 2, 4, 2. And then let's say our mage is a powerful mage. They've done a little bit. So their magic is a D8. Right? So D8. And then let's say their story is a D4. And let's say they don't have any gear on. So they get a 4 and a 3. So now you take the highest number. Everybody pools. If we're fighting the same target, you pool your dice pools together. So now we have a... What was hers? A 4. So she has a 4. So mine was 2, 4, 2. This is for the Belmont, for example. And then the mage is a 4. Okay? So Belmont got us a 2, 4, 2. And then she got us a 4. So we'll say the mage starts the fire. Boom, blast. We're starting with 4 fire. And since I got 1 success, I can be like, I'm going to do a maneuver to pull it out of the sky instead of doing more damage. So it's easier for us to hit. And I yank it out of the sky and yank it to the ground. And then when we go into the next round, we would compare damages. The highest damage was 4. If it has an armor of 2, we would do 2 points of damage to its torso because we didn't pick a category around it by using a gambit or a trick or a strike or a focus or whatever the fuck we name it. So now looking back through here, if we go back in and look through our website, they have combat moves. So maybe it should be moves. Perform a move. That seems pretty good. Possible name. So what if we did it that way? With a move. Success with a move. No, because you don't want to do that because you got movement. I don't like doubling verbiage like that. Hold on a second. Someone just knocked. Be right back. I'm definitely not interested in what they're selling. Oh, gosh. All right, back. Yeah, action. I don't know, man, because action is what you're doing. You don't really want to use that either. Gambit's okay. I just don't want to use that term for this. I just don't think it fits. So let's keep looking through here. Let's see if we find anything else. What page is this? 7? So let's go to 8 and 9. Mini games, magic. 10 and 11. Skill. I think skill. I really am aiming at skill. No, it was not. It was not. I think a skill. Oh, for those who missed, I got my Scrimshaw Dracula mug out. Figured it was suiting for today, right? I mean, what do you think? Because people are used to adding a stat together and a skill, but what if we're just telling a stat, and then if you get a 4 or higher, you can use a skill? And then we just give a list of skills that are out, like. I think that's perfect. With a critical skill? With a combo? With a combo skill? Or a critical skill? Okay. Clearly enough. Thanks, Nick. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. I think Serving Hands has the same one. This is from Scrimshaw. This guy makes amazing, amazing mugs. If like you are a mug person, I will tell you, this base style gets warm. This doesn't get too hot, so it's really good to kind of keep things at temp, but not too hot. But it doesn't, like I have a warmer here, like one of those candle warmers, but I put my mugs on it to keep it hot. This doesn't get insanely warm. I like my Jason one because it's a flat bottom, but God, I love holding these mugs. But it's warm enough to like keep it warm and drink the whole time without burning the coffee. That is the one thing that is nice. So anyway, we have combat and so we have when rolling your die pool, all 4 4s or higher, that should be apostrophe, 4s or higher equals success with a skill use. I like this. I like this where this is going. I think this is solid. Did you really? Maybe you knew Nocturn was releasing today too, huh? All 8s or higher are a success with a critical skill use. When rolling your die pool, all 4s, rolling die pool. Then it should be the highest number roll. Should it be a success with a crit skill or a crit success with a skill? No, because your damage is the same. There's no critical successes in this mechanics. You just get a success or a success with a gambit or a success with a strong gambit. So what we are saying is you get a success with a skill use or a success with a critical skill use. So for example, theirs is like do 2 damage instead of 1. Ours might be ignore armor to a category or select the category you hit. That kind of thing. So the highest number rolled in the pool is your damage. Base damage. For example, a D12 rolls comes up 12. This becomes your base damage before any skills are applied. So that kind of gives you a breakdown, and then we'll have to explain duo or group play. Because if more than one are... Hey, what's up, Close? I haven't seen you in ages, buddy. How you doing? So if you are combining those together... I didn't even realize who that was. That's a buddy of mine who's out here. I haven't seen you... Fuck, man, since the comedy show we went to, I think. So you would get those together for... That works so well, man. This becomes your base damage for any skills. Cold chillin', nice. So that's kind of your combat in general for that. So really, the only thing you'd have to describe then is if you are playing, if more than one character, one PC attacks a creature or monster. In monster, you take the highest roll. First off, it would be if more than one PC attacks a monster, you pool your dice. Now, I will say roll separately. I think you would want to... Yeah, I think you roll them separately in the game. I'm pretty sure. God damn it. Separately. So you'd roll them separately. Pull your dice, roll them separately. Take the highest for the base damage. And then everyone applies skill uses. Done. Easy. This works really well. So now you have a really clean... easy combat for that, and then you have an idea of how the monster stuff works on the side. I will mock you. So will close. Here, let me, hold on here. Let me mute this. We're gonna have some fun. So I have an app on my phone called Carrot. It's a weather app. She is hysterical. I have her on the highest amount of bullshit. It's actually not that cold today.
Soothsaying. R.I.P. David Lynch.
Did David Lynch die today too? You want to boot? That's right, the Windows boot. I forgot about that.
I was really hoping the Nintendo Switch successor would be something crazy, like now you play games on an umbrella.
So that's this app talking shit. I love Carrot, man. But it feels like 27. It could be colder today. We were really cold the other day. I mean, speaking of RIP, Bob Uecker passed today. Mr. Baseball himself passed today. Super sad. He used to come into Buds. I've met him quite a few times going to Brewers games for companies and shit like that. Really nice dude. Voice of fucking the Brewers. Obviously, close you would know, Jen's super upset about it. She found that out as she was going to work today. I felt bad for her. Yeah, we get cold here. But we just have the infrastructure for it. I think you're a Texas boy, so your infrastructure for it ain't good. So now we got to go down to our crit sheet, or our note sheet here. So boom. Skill anytime you roll a 4 or higher. Skill anytime you roll a 4 or higher. And then we have bold critical skill anytime you roll a 8 or higher. Pretty dope. And then we're going to come up with like what we want our critical skills to be, right? Like, we don't want to use what's in the book. We want these to feel Castlevania-esque. So I'm going to do this. I think one of them has to be activate gear or spell skill. Activate gear skill. Actually, we don't need to say that. Gear skill. Magic skill. Weapon skill. Story skill. And then I think there's some base things, which should be increase damage, target location, target weak point, yeah, it's all 4. But there's 2 different styles. There's a regular skill use and a critical skill use. 4, because you're using, oh yeah, you weren't here for this part. You use D4s to D12s. So if you're a Belmont, if your character uses a whip and your whip is a D6 skill, and then you also have a fire flask that does a D4, and your story is a D6, you roll a D6, a D4, and a D6. But let's just say you got like a master whip, and it does a D12. Obviously, D8, D10, D12 can get an 8 or higher. A D4 and a D6 can't do that. So D8 to D12 can get 4 or higher or 8 or higher. And that allows you to do either a skill or a crit skill, because there's going to be 2 different versions. I think you should also have lower armor, lower take away, so it would be lower attack pool, lower pool, enemy pool. Yes, because you get more than one. So if you get 3 4s or higher, you would get 3 skill activations. That's why. And on a crit, anytime you roll an 8 or higher, you would get 3 critical skills. So if you roll 3 8s, you get 3 critical ones. And it should just be you. Throw object? Wouldn't that just be a gear skill? Don't you think? Oh, move. Move after. Now let's look at theirs again, too. Let's pull the PDF up. Let's go back to see their gambits. No, anything or higher. No, yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying, but let's go to the gambits. So their gambits are bolster, +1 damage, move. After the attack, even if you've already moved, move again. We could just call it move, but I think dash or double dash, because that seems more Castlevania-esque, you know what I mean? So maybe instead of move, we'll put dash. Dash. There's his bolster. Repel. Repel's not bad. I like the word repel. So let's add repel. Dismount's cool. Trap is a shield. Stop might not be bad. I think block. Stop. Block. Reposition them? What would we want for, like, reposition? To reposition an attack. Yeah, going for those combos by rolling more than one. You got it, yeah. Yeah, because if your 12 becomes your damage, now you have that choice. Like, the most common would be increased damage, which he calls bolster. I would call it, bolster's a good word. This guy's known for coming up with, like, words that are all-encompassing. Like, he's really good at it. But I think bolster is pretty solid. So let's define some of these. I'll take us back over to the table here in a sec. The attack for +1. Bolster the... Okay, so all of his is written... All right, I don't know if I necessarily like how he's writing it. So bolster... we have a bolded. Let's turn the bold off. +1 to the attack damage. Target location. I think we just target, and it should then just be one location away. Oh, sorry. Target a limb instead of torso. Should we target limb or groin? Target a limb or groin instead of torso. Because that'll let you get past armors and deduct damage off. And then this target weak point, I think, is going to get cut and move to the crit one. So we're going to... Let me just do this. Let's duplicate it. Let's move it here. And then we will just fucking wipe this. And we'll put target weak point. Strike at the lowest armor or hit point. HP location. I think that should be a critical, because that's you're making sure you're hitting the spot you want no matter what. I think you should have headshot, head strike, head strike deals, ignores armor, ignores armor. Oh no, it should just be head strike. Head strike hits the head location, and then ignore armor for a single location. On strike, ignore armor on strike equal or less than the die. Equal to or less than the die type. So, like, if you roll a d4, you can ignore 4 or less. Ignore armor on strike equal to or less than the die roll. It should be the roll. Equal to or less. And the die's number rolled. Allowing you to, like, ignore armors. Yeah, bolster's good for inspiring allies, too. I do agree with that. That might be a good one. We might change that. Right? So maybe bolster should be... I think it should be an ability on an item or something. So let's just cut bolster. Let's make a... This is our note sheet right now, right? How would I want to do this? Let's just move this up, and then we'll do a duplicate. And then we'll do one here for gear. And then we'll do bolster. Increase one of allies' dice. One of allies' successes. Oh no, I know. Re-roll ally. Ally can re-roll one failed die. Why? I don't know if I want ally. Would that be the word we want to use for it? What do you guys think? Ally? Do we want ally? Do you think? Yeah, I'll use ally for now. Ally can re-roll one failed die. And then I'm going to mark that these are gear. So we need, I think I have a text heading one. Oh, those are fucking huge. I'm really going to have to adjust those sizes. Let's do this at 12 because it's pretty, no, 14? 14. And this will be gear, spells, a gear, magic, story, skills. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Let me move this over. And now I can kind of fucking put it where I want it. Magic. Story. Skills. So bolster ally. Boom. Underneath it. Looks good. Works perfect. We should probably gear skills. Gear. Use gear skill. Activate. So it should be gear. Check the gear. Should be maybe gear. Use gear skill. Uses a gear special. A gear skill. Really quick. Should just be simple. Magic. Uses a gear or magic spell skill. Weapon skill. Same thing. I know this seems redundant, but you have to kind of over-explain. Weapons, skill. And I can see that be like whip having pull down, knives having pinning shot, things like that. Story skill uses a tower map story skill or NPC granted or story granted skill. A story granted skill. Tower map skill. So tower map skills are going to be things like the double jump you find, being able to slide through small spaces, shit like that. Let's rename bolster to strike. +1 attack and damage. I think that's great. Target a limb or groin instead of torso. Lower armor. This should be reduce. Lower armor reduces locations armor by 2 or by 1. Shouldn't be 2. That's too much. By 1. Lower enemy pool. Removes 1 die from enemies dice pool. It should be the lowest die. Removes the lowest die from the enemies pool. Dash. This should be allows you to take a move even if took one that round. Repel. Knock an enemy away from you. I mean, that's also going to be a lot of you to like knock them into pits and shit like that. Stop a target from moving this round. And then block. Maybe block should be actually here. Block. Because I think it should be on gear. Allows a character to take damage to the gear, magic, gear or magic assigned the skill. So let's take block off of here. Okay. Boom. So this gets us a pretty good idea, I think, right? Like, this is clean. So let's duplicate this. Let's move this to here. And let's put skill use. Skills. I should just be skills. Basic skills. Basic skills. And then we're going to move this. Move this down. And we'll duplicate this one again. And we'll move it up to here. Then I'm going to move this to here. We'll move this up to here. And this will be critical skills. Done. And then we have gear-based skills. So, I mean, this is a pretty clean setup. Like, these are note sheets. This will get moved into the combat section. But I feel like this gives us a really good idea on kind of how this will work. The only thing I really want to clean up is how the monsters work. I love the core premise for this. I think it just needs a better asset piece to make it read well. This is a little too crazy. I think that this is a much better improvement. So much so that I'm just going to copy it, move it up here, and delete this and repaste it. Because I just think it's a cleaner setup. So this D4 spiked helm. I'll put spiked helm skill pins. Let's move this all the way across. Pins a target. Scan hill. Oh, spiked helm skill. Stops movement for 1 round. Done. So that's a sample of like how you would do a monster skill. Right? Pretty clean. And then this should be armor / head. I'll have to figure a way out to make that read better. I don't like that. I'll probably have to teach it so I can abbreviate it. Like, it's really what I would like it to be is this wouldn't be here at all. Right? And it would just have AR. Like, if I had my choice, it would look like this. AR 3-2. That's how it would look. And you would know that body is 3, 2 is head. Right? So I'll probably have to educate that part somewhere here to get people to understand. And then if people are wondering what these are, so people aren't familiar with Canva, if you scroll up, it's literally just frames for me to put things in. And then this is the divide line where I want the book to be cut. Which I think this has got a lot of potential. And then I love this side scroller one. Like, obviously this map is too blurry for what we're trying to do. But like, if I get a map and draw it at a very large scale, these are A5s, I would probably draw the map at like 36 by 24, like a full poster map, like a really cool poster map. And then I would cut out those sections so I can scale them down to A5 really well. And I think I would make them really clean like this, and then maybe have some art pieces as well, so you know what sections look like, and get some really good drawn art for each section of the dungeon, like what it would look like. But so here's the question. Did any of you, when you were younger, did any of you do, what was it called? Like the old dungeon drawings in your notebooks and shit, where you would like draw side scroller dungeons with like lava pits and shit like that? Like, did any of you do that? Because that's kind of what I'm inherently thinking when I'm looking at this. I want to make something that does like the dungeons I used to draw in my Mead notebooks. But that's the concept behind it, right? So here, really quick, I'm going to do a properties change. I don't like how something's happening on the screen. And then I'm going to do a quick 10-minute recording on like why I think Castlevania should be a TTRPG. And then we'll kind of wrap it up for the day because I got some stuff I got to do. I will be back tomorrow night for Corpse Talk. Corpse Talk tomorrow is Headless Nights. We're going right back into the dungeon again. I have some announcements too at the end of the show, so stick around after the recording because I do have a couple announcements. I want it to ease bottom left. Bottom left. Let's click OK. Yeah, math notebooks. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, right? I'm not crazy. I want people to be able to do that again. That's what I want. That's what I want. Never enough lava pits. You got it. So I'm going to quickly, we're going to go over the concept of what we're making for this. I'm going to record a Towervania video. I'm going to have, so I need, let's set this up. I need this art piece. I'm going to probably use this Castlevania site. I'm going to keep this up and this up. Let's also go back to instruction manuals. And I want to look up, is Symphony of the Night on here? No fucking way Symphony of the Night's not on here. Really? Maybe it's got to be older post. I don't remember this game either, man, in 2021. How many fucking Castlevanias have come out? Oh, these aren't in order. I see. Dawn of Sorrow was good. I'm looking for inspiration here. Man, dude, there's way more than I ever thought. Castlevania games. Holy fucking shit, guys. Ah, Belmont's Revenge. Like, Symphony of the Night might be the first one they put in here. Oh, I think I just saw it. Symphony of the Night. Japanese, PlayStation instruction manual. Let's just see if this is it. Okay. Why is it so small? Look at this art, man. This looks just like... Okay. All right, all right. I got everything I need here. And then this is the reference for that. Okay. I'm going to do a recap on what I'm trying to do here. I'm going to try to get this together in one smooth 10-minute video. We're going to go back to the starting screen here. We're going to put up the ad like normal. I'm going to restart this playlist because this first song is dope. I wonder if there's any DMCA free Castlevania styled music. This is only 2 minutes, though. I really need more than that. Music playlist. Ooh. Ooh, what is this? How long is it? Oh. I might be able to get away with playing this. Check D. I want to check this. So I'd like to use DMCA free music for this. DMCA free Castlevania music. YouTube in it. I mean, let's see here. So my favorite Castlevania tunes, totally based towards Metrovania style titles. These aren't DMCA free. I would love to just be able to play old Nintendo Castlevania music, but I don't know if you can get away with that. I don't know if there is let me check. We'll use this one for now. It's fine. All right. So let's put the ad on. I'm going to start the recording here, everybody. Recording started. 3. Get the music going. 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, I have been working on something in the sidelines here. I really love Vania games, Castlevania games specifically, but there's a lot of other ones that have come out over the last couple of years. I am tired of side-scroller games, but there's something about the exploration of Metroidvania and Castlevania that I believe should be a tabletop RPG. I really, really do. And I don't think it's that hard to accomplish. As a matter of fact, I said, fuck it, I'm just going to make my own. I'm going to make this happen. So I went through all the games I could find while I was at the Midwest Gaming Convention, talked to some other designers that were there, and just kind of spitballed some ideas, and boom, here we are today, talking about making a Vania-styled game. I believe mine's going to be called Towervania. I love the idea of multiple towers and what they look like and what they bring to the table. There's some really cool art, which I'll pull up here for you. I really like this kind of style of art where you get these just beautiful, gorgeous set pieces of different towers connected together. I also like the idea of this being able to be used where you can plug and play different timeline set pieces. If you want to play a Metroidvania style in space, or if you want to play something modern through hotel or an apartment structure like Redemption or Raid, that kind of feel, or even Judge Dredd, if you know what I'm talking about. I think that kind of a feel is super fun. But when I was designing this, I had a couple of goals in mind, and I think the system I picked and what I wanted to do hits those goals. So here's the deal. I wanted this to be something that could be solo, duo, or group with GM. And the reason being is solo games have picked up a lot in the last 2 years. I also think that solo games are a great way for people to learn how to play a game. And duo games are a great way to teach somebody how to play a game. And obviously group with a GM, we're all familiar with. So I wanted to hit all three of these pillars. It's got to do all three. On top of that, I want a roll to hit and damage at the same time system. I wanted less attributes or statistics than you would normally have. And I wanted things like story and gear to be a very important part of the game. I already started doing some rough just layout and notes. So let's take a look at that and where some of our inspiration comes from. So this is the layout for Towervania. It's nothing special. This is just nothing but roughness for it. That would be the cover page. And there is something special about how I want to do this. I want to either use a binder format with 6 rings, 3 at the top, 3 at the bottom, or I want to have a journal that is split across the middle. And instead of using page numbers for everything, I want it to be the map locations that you would find in things like Castlevania. Symphony of the Night is the sample that's on here right now for my rough layout work. This would obviously be replaced with custom artwork for a side style map. But I want you to be able to have the map open, have a big one on 2 pages that maybe full out each side. You get like a 4-panel long one, like accordion style. And then the middle ones will flip for different zones or height and all that kind of stuff. At the bottom of it, you have the name of the section, let's say the Greenhouse A. And below, you would flip to the section that's Greenhouse A. But you would also have at the beginning of the book, you're a Slayer, how to make your character, how it's going to work. Right now, you can see I just have some Ipsum in place here. But I have went a little further. I know you're going to be a Slayer in Towervania. I know we're going to have maps. The attributes are going to be 4 of them. And before I describe what's on screen, here's how I want this to work. I'm a big fan of Into the Odd and Mythic Bastion Lands coming out, which is like the more advanced version. And they even added D20 rolls in where you're rolling under a statistic. And I'm not sure I'm going to have that part of it, but I love the roll to hit and roll to damage. We've already seen Draw Steel from MCDM and some other games adopt this philosophy of when you roll, you're hitting and you're almost always going to be doing some form of damage and being able to kind of stunt off of what you rolled. We've seen stunts in other games like Dragon Age. The Age system does a really good job with that. For me, I wanted there to be just 4 core stats, and I see them being fight, magic, gear, and story. And story is kind of a catch-all for a couple things. I want this to be an RPG, a role-playing game still. And I want it to be one where your gear kind of determines who you are. Now, this was a live stream. We went through everything over the last hour or so, kind of what we're doing, and developed some different mechanics that I want in the game. But there's one we didn't talk about, and I'll do that during this. First off, attributes, fight, magic, and gear. Fight is pretty simple. This is used for melee or ranged combat, obviously based on the weapon that you have. Magic is used for any magic spells or knowledge on magic. That could also be maybe a cult or things like that as well, depending on maybe the system you're playing in. Gear have a die assigned to them that can be used when building your dice pool. Have that be the whip that you're using, the boots that you're wearing, the throwing, glowing holy cross that you have. And story is a little different. That is to activate those abilities you get by playing through this story. Your double jumps, your dashes, your ability to teleport and use different portals or mirrors if you're playing certain games that have done that are those Vania styles. But it's also for NPCs you've met that are teaching you new skills. Maybe they give you a whirling defense with your whip, or the ability to use your shield to deflect spells back. The story die will increase. You'll have a baseline that kind of goes up with you, but as you complete parts of the map, your story die will go up. And speaking of the dice, the way that the mechanics in Into the Odd and Bastionland works is D4 to D12, so everything in between, your D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, are all dice that you get. 4s and up are considered a success. And then you also, in their games, you get to do something that's like a special ability. In Towervania, you get to use a skill. I thought about this because when I was looking through Castlevania, and we'll take a look at this as well, I saw that they had these instruction manuals where you can look up everything on them. But they talk about new skills and information in one of those. And skills are mentioned numerous times throughout the Castlevania series. And I thought maybe instead of using gambits that you find in Bastionlands, skills are a really good idea for this. Now, with that said, there is more. Anytime you roll an 8 or higher, you get what they call a strong gambit. In our game, it's going to be called a critical skill. Critical skill is going to be something that's more than normal. And I've already started placing some of these into effect. And let's take a look at kind of some of the basic skills I have in mind, critical skills, and also what gear and magic and story skills can be as well. So in your basic skills, you can do a gear skill use, a magic, or a weapon. All of those skill uses you get if they're basic. Stories are tower map skills, or maybe a story granted skill, double jump, dash, deflect magic, whatever makes sense for the story you're playing. Then strike lets you add to damage, target lets you do a certain hit location, and so on. And then under some of the higher critical skills, you can do things like a head strike, or ignore armor, or hit a weak point on that boss monster that you're fighting. And then gear will have things like bolster, an ally can re-roll a failed die, or a block. And you're wondering, how do I get all of these? How do I activate the skills? Well, like I said, 4s and 8s activate either a basic skill, or a critical skill. But the way it works is you build a dice pool in this game. So for example, if you're going to be rolling, say, a D6 for a whip, a D6 for story, and a D4 for a piece of gear that you have to attack, those rolls can be pulled up, and if you have a 4 or higher, you succeed. So for example, if I rolled a 2-4-2, I would succeed with a 4, and that means I would get a skill, and 4 becomes my damage. The reason that is anytime that you roll your pool of dice, you take the highest die, and that becomes your damage. Now, if I would have more successes, I could have upgraded these successes into extra damage or other skills that I want to use. The cool thing is when you get into duo or 4 people playing or whatever, as long as those people are activating their pools together to accomplish, say, fight a monster, I always like to use a Hydra as example, you pool all of your dice together. So your party members roll their dice individually, and then you pool them together for what's the most successful die. If someone had a D12 and they roll a 12, guess what? They get a 12 and a critical skill, and everybody dogpiles or builds on top of that 12 to do more. To me, this makes a lot of sense. I feel like when you are playing a duo game, the thing that is missing in a lot of D&D 5e and 5e based games or D20 based games is you don't get to build pools together and do things. And in this game, in the system that they've developed for Odd and Bastionland and numerous other games that have used that system, it allows you to pool things up and have fun as a group. So that means that when you're playing duos, you get to gang up and fight things and it becomes more difficult. And that also means as a designer for adventures, I get to have tables for duo versus single player or group adventures. And that means you can go through dungeons faster because you have groups of dice getting pooled together. As your story builds by exploring more of the map and marking the percentages of boxes you've went through, you get better at what you do. Your gear increases. You get to do some fun things later on too, like you're going to be able to get cool gear abilities and stack them together. And I kind of want to develop a combo where if you have 3 successes, you can do combo skills. If you have multiple players, I think that'd just be wild. And I would probably replace some other things that are in Bastionlands. Bastion Lands has 3 main attributes, and it's a roll under system using a d20, but your attacks and damage use the dice pools like we just said. But what if we just wipe away the d20 for this? What if instead we say that you get the ability to combo X amount of successes together to do really special things? Like if I have a fiery whip that I'm whipping in a circle, create a maelstrom, and the wizard casts a spell to make a tornado out of it. Wouldn't that be kind of fucking cool? So I've been looking at this and thinking about it on and off since midwinter, so a couple days. And I thought about Knave a little bit. I love Knave's itemization, where you only get so many item slots, and spells take those up, and gear takes those up. But what I want to be able to do is take a little bit of mechanic from Blades in the Dark for armor, where you take hits with armor. And I only want you to take so many hits. I don't think I want hit points. I think I want X amount of hits from monsters. I haven't decided on that yet. But what I know I want to do is next to all of your item slots, there's going to be a box. And there'll be numbers, 1 through whatever. Probably 20. It's probably the max I'll say you get. Maybe you only have 8 to start, but backpacks give you more, and so on. You'll be able to mark in those boxes special things. Like, for example, if you are armored and that piece is protected by armor, you can put an A next to it. That means if that slot is rolled, you can just lose your armor instead of losing your item or dropping it to the ground. If you die, maybe you have to come back and get it if there's a special mechanic for that part of the tower. Or if it's in an extra dimensional space, yeah, you have to take time to pull it out, but you can travel with it and store your grimoires and important things. It's not really Souls-like, more of a mechanic for how to handle dropping items and things getting damaged. I also don't think I'm going to use experience in this. I think I want you to get better through exploration and from finding statues and grimoires. And that brings me to the classes in this game. In Bastion Lands, they've done something that I really haven't seen before. They have made, I think it's 74 different knights. And it's wild. Not only is there knights in them, with each knight on the next page comes also an adventure set piece. So here, I'll just show you. It'll probably make more sense. For example, if you roll the true knight here, you get a polished mace that's a D8 hefty, mail, which is armor 1, plate armor 1, and a helm that is armor 1. You get a kite shield that does a D4 and gives you armor, and it's marked with a symbol, and you get a random table below, and every one of them has a seer. But imagine if, like, in this, all the slayers are grimoires that you've studied out of, and you're like a whip-using Belmont. That's just what we're going to call him for the sake of the video. But you also have a magician, and then maybe you have a summoner, and the other one's a fucking dampier. So instead of it being class-based, it's grimoire and training-based, they all fit. It's really easy to roll up your characters. I love that this is what you do. It's a D6 and a D12 to roll the table, and you get your knight. And on the next page, they have storytelling pieces. For what I want to do, I'm replacing this with the dungeon above and the adventure that comes with it. So what do you all think? Are you excited for Nocturn coming out? Are you wanting to play more of these kinds of games? For me, I love solo and duo games, but I wanted something that was my own. I get to add fun Oracle stuff to this, and it's a game that grows with the player. It'd be really cool if it was not just the printed journal. Maybe the first one comes that way, but you get the ring binder. And I don't know about you, I have tons of ring binders that I use for notes and taking down journaling stuff when I'm running games. But that 6 ring, at the top half is the adventure and the map, say, and the bottom is the adventure. You get to flip through and piece to the pages you want and have fun. I think there's something here. So let me know down in the comments below. Is this something you'd be interested in seeing more development on? I'm for sure going to make a character and play through a section of a dungeon live here to see how it goes. If you want to be involved in the live things that I do, obviously click the bell, do all the follow stuff. But more importantly, join the Discord. There's a link down below. We do Living ETHUANTIA on there. And if you want to play some games with me GMing and eventually other people GMing, come get yourself a seat. Come play some games and meet more people who are doing it. That's all for me. If you're live, stick around. I have another announcement for the end of the show. To everybody else who's watching, as always, watch, listen, learn, be a better gamer. Design some shit for your table at home. So that's our video for that. Really short, succinct. I got to cut that together and put out. I like this. I really do think this could be good. I have a good feeling about how quickly the development for this is coming together. I think that this can be an easy game where maybe it's like 5 pages of rules and some really cool tables and stuff for you to roll to randomize your dungeons, randomize your abilities, all that kind of shit. I like this a lot. I think there's a little bit of stuff I have to do for this section, but I love the idea of your armor blocking categories of your gear that you would lose. When you take damage in games like Castlevania, you have a hit point bar. And I don't think I want hit points. I think you just gain hits. I really kind of want to just go hits. Potion, replenishes all your hits, that kind of thing. I think it works better. I'm not 100% sure on that. I guess it'll matter on how I use 4s and 8s for damage of 4s. Because if you're doing 12 damage, I guess I have to do hit points. Do you guys have a preference? Do you like hit points in your game? I think with this, maybe it would have to be hit points. But at least you can block your items from getting lost or damaged during the game. I think that's a great idea. I think having armor over top of things that are kind of like, not only are you protecting yourself, but things are locked down so you're not losing your whip and your sword, but maybe you're losing that healing potion you have. It busts and flies in the air, and gear becomes hit points. And Knave does something very kind of similar to that. You get weaker and you can't carry shit anymore. You don't have access to stuff anymore. A sword that takes 2 slots, one of them gets injured, you're too fucking injured to carry it until you heal yourself. I think that's a really fun concept, and it gives mechanics to smart play, which is always my goal when I'm designing mechanics, is to make smart, innovative, and fun play. But I do have a little bit of an announcement. Tomorrow we're going to do the Headless Knight. Serving Hand, you won last time with the most deaths, or the most kills. So you're going to be getting bonus packs for that tomorrow. That's going to be at 7 p.m. to probably 9. We're getting ready to develop the next part of the dungeon. I'm going to set a whole bunch of this stuff up in advance this time to make our life a little smoother. We're going to look over new horror movies that are coming out. And then on Sunday, if you are part of our Discord community already, make sure you go over, and on Sunday night, I am going to run, or Sunday afternoon or night, depending on how many people we get, I'm going to run a Living ETHUANTIA. So if you're interested in playing, you haven't played yet, go sign up. There are pre-gens if you don't know how to make a character for Dragonbane. Don't worry, we have a pre-gen. You can come in and play, and then you can make your own later and just carry your experience over to your other character. I know for sure have 1 to 2 people. It only takes 3 to play. I like a smaller group, but 4 to 5 is fine as well. They're about a 3 to 3.5 hour session. But that's it for me today. I'm going to go hang out, watch some shows, and chill. But I'm going to be doing more developing on this. Don't be surprised if you see a few more streams during the day over the next couple of weeks. I do have some big things coming up and some stuff I had to finish. But I really want to get this out here soon. I'm going to be publishing my Cyanite, my Dungeon Chef, and my Lancer, along with a beginning breacher information here really soon to kind of put it out for sale along with ETHUANTIA. And I think this is going to be the next thing kind of in the playtest. ETHUANTIA is pretty much done playtesting the main stuff. And I think this will be the next one. Did I miss anything in chat here while I was doing that? Going for combos, rolling more than 1. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. That's kind of what I was thinking. Dodge parry. Dodge parry. That's a good idea. Before I leave the show here. Do you think that should be basic skills? I think parry should be a weapon. I think parry. Physical attack. Parry a physical attack. Gain. Step up a dice, maybe? Step up weapon. Step up a weapons die for next round. Right? Oh, no, it wouldn't be weapon. Could be, yeah, step up a weapons die for next round. We'll just say weapon. I don't know about dodge. I haven't, I guess you would up your armor? I don't know. I don't know what I would do for that. I like the idea of a dodge. I'm going to put it up here. We're going to put a dodge here. And I think it should be something like dodge. Ooh. I'll put it up here. I know what it'll be. This should be a critical skill. So we'll do dodge. And we'll unbold. Dodge one die. Or dodge the highest. Dodge the highest die. Oh, dodge. And take the second highest die of second highest die or enemy damage. That means someone rolls a 10 and a 7, you get the 7 instead. That's a really cool idea. It may be too powerful. I may have to play test that a little bit, but that's a fun idea. I like that. Bolster's a great one for inspiring. Yep, I added that. Math notebooks. Yes, I did that. Lava pits. Lose HP instead of your stats. Cursed and lowered. Sign me up. Instead of your stats. Oh, stop. Stop. She's whining about her character that aged, I think. I also think that armor blocks that stuff. So I need to do one note sheet. I need to do another note sheet here. And I'm going to armor. Armor blocks. Armor reduces incoming damage. And for each point in armor, you can stop one. Oh, you're brittly fine. You can stop one. Reduces incoming damage. You also mark one box for each. One box next to items. How do I want to say this? You also mark one piece of gear that can that ignores the first roll. You also mark one piece of gear that ignores the first time it is rolled to be lost or damaged. Done. Then we'll give a sample of that below. And maybe dodge. Maybe dodge actually ignores the first item roll. That's also not a possibility there. I like that. But anyway, I wanted to get through those. I will be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. I'll be on Discord on and off all night tonight. I'm going to be doing design work. I have to finish up some stuff for Shadow Dark for a project before the next project starts. But that's it for me, everybody. I hope this is fun. I wanted to kind of keep this tight today. I'm going to go grab a beer. I'm going to chill, maybe watch some Nocturne. But for everybody else, join me over in Discord and then leave some comments down below. I'm trying to bolster this channel as much as I can, starting in just any discussion on the stuff that's here. So if you like the idea of these roles, if you like the idea of a Vania-style game, or if there's some ideas that you would like to see in the game as maybe a Vania fan yourself, Metroid, Castlevania, whatever it is, mark it down below. And then, until then, I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Have some fun, get a beer, and You know the routine, everybody. Have a good one.